There comes a moment in life that doesn't arrive with noise. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for attention. It arrives quietly, the moment you realize you've been shrinking to survive. His name was Evan. Evan wasn't invisible by nature. He wasn't weak. He wasn't incapable. But for most of his life, he had learned one dangerous skill: how to make himself smaller so others could feel comfortable. He learned it early, in rooms where his voice was ignored, in friendships where he gave more than he received, in places where his effort was expected but never acknowledged. So Evan adapted. He listened more than he spoke. He apologized even when he wasn't wrong. He accepted less than he deserved because it felt safer than asking. And the world rewarded him for it with silence. Years passed. Evan built a life that looked fine from the outside. A job, responsibilities, routines. But inside, something felt unfinished, like a sentence that was never allowed to end. Every night, the same thoughts returned. Why do I feel unseen even when I'm surrounded? Why does it feel like I'm living on the edge of my own life? Why do I always wait for permission to be myself? He told himself it was humility. He told himself it was patience. He told himself it was maturity. But deep down, he knew the truth. He was afraid that if he took up space, he'd be rejected. One evening, after another day of being overlooked, Evan didn't go home. He kept walking, past the streets he knew, past the places that felt familiar, until he reached the edge of the city, where unfinished buildings stood like abandoned intentions. He sat on a concrete ledge and stared at the dark sky, and for the first time in years he asked himself a dangerous question. What if the problem isn't that I'm not enough, but that I've never allowed myself to be? Something shifted, not outside, inside. A memory surfaced, a younger Evan, speaking freely, dreaming loudly, believing without shame. And slowly, painfully, Evan realized he hadn't lost himself, he had hidden himself. Tears came, not from sadness, but from grief. Grief for the version of himself that learned to stay quiet. Grief for the dreams he edited to fit into smaller rooms. Grief for the strength he kept locked away. I'm tired, he whispered, tired of asking permission to exist. The wind moved across the unfinished buildings, and in that moment, Evan made a decision. Not a loud one, not a dramatic one, but a permanent one. He decided he would no longer abandon himself to be accepted. The next day, nothing magical happened. The world didn't change, but Evan did. He spoke without rehearsing apologies. He said no without guilt. He shared ideas without shrinking them first. And some people didn't like it. They pulled away. They questioned him. They grew uncomfortable. And for the first time, Evan didn't chase them. Instead, something unexpected happened. Others leaned in. People who respected clarity, people who valued presence, people who recognized confidence not as arrogance, but as truth. Opportunities appeared, not because Evan begged, but because he stood firm. He stopped negotiating his worth, stopped explaining his boundaries, stopped waiting to be chosen. He chose himself. Months passed. Evan's life didn't become perfect, but it became honest. He still felt fear, but it no longer controlled him. He still faced doubt, but it no longer defined him, because now when he walked into a room, he arrived fully, and the world adjusted. Soft, powerful. If you've been shrinking, if you've been quieting your truth, if you've been waiting for permission to become who you are, listen carefully. You don't need approval to exist. You don't need validation to matter. You don't need permission to rise. The moment you stop abandoning yourself is the moment life finally meets you. And when you stand fully in who you are, nothing can ignore you anymore.